Hello, thank you for joining us again on this very interesting program, newspaper review, where we bring you top stories from the Nigeria dailies and issues in the news as it affects, the development of this great country, Nigeria. Of course, I will not be doing this alone today. I have a guest with me, as usual, Barrister Ogochukwu P. Isiguzo is a public affairs analyst and a lawyer, and who is always finding time to join us on the show. Barrister Ogochukwu, you are welcome today.
Thank you very much. I'm grateful for having me.
It's always a pleasure to have you on this show.
Yes, it's good to be here once again.
Thank you.
Yes.
And straight away, we'll go straight to the papers we have with us today. We have 5 of them. I have a leadership newspaper. I have Blueprint. I have Daily Trust. And of course, I have the Vanguard newspaper is also part of my papers today. And I have, of course, Daily Trust, as you can see on the screen. So, Barrister, we'll just begin straight with leadership newspaper.
Yes.
One of the boldest headline on that paper this day is telling us about, FG Housing Estates rots away in Nasarawa 4 years after inauguration. Wow. And we also have this coming from a lawmaker saying our people can no longer live in villages over relentless attacks. And this is coming from a lawmaker from Katsina State. And we also have Ogun APC suspending Gbenga Daniels from the party for anti-parties activities. And that's it for leadership newspaper this morning. Which of these stories, catches your attention most this morning, Ogochukwu?
Yes, on the leadership newspaper, I talked about the housing estates. And when I saw it, I found it very, very interesting. It's good to know that the National Housing Program has actually started, and that it has started in Nasarawa State. I was made from the body of the story. Nasarawa is one of the states in the north central where these projects is meant to be executed in conjunction with Federal Mortgage Bank and I think Nigerian Labour Congress. But it is sad that after spending, because the budgeted amount for that project was about 500 billion. It was inaugurated by President Muhammadu Buhari.
Okay.
After spending such amount of money, about 76 units that has been put on ground, it is there wasting. Meanwhile, if you go to Nasarawa State, there are a lot of people who are looking for proper and better housing. So one wonders why we will have a housing program that has about 76 units in a part of Nasarawa State, and it's just there wasting 4 good years. I think it's high time government started looking into some of these things and expanding this housing program. The housing program in Nigeria needs to be taken more seriously, because the housing has become a serious issue in Nigeria with the inflation that has taken place in the past years, at least since 2023. House rent is on the high. People are finding it difficult to pay. If you go to courts and you see the litany of tenancy matters that are pending between landlords and tenants, not because tenants do not want to pay, but oftentimes they cannot even afford the payment. So we should begin to talk of low-cost housing for people who can afford it, for the middle class, if there's anything like that still in Nigeria, for the civil servants. Civil servants in Abuja here, for example, some of them live as far as Masaka, outside Abuja entirely. They come from outside Abuja. So if there is a national housing program like this, it has started, the federal government should begin to think of it. Then it will not take government anything to amass a large piece of land. Instead of these estates thing they are doing here in Abuja, you take a very large portion of land, give to a company, say they are developers. These people begin to, ask for so much from people because they are out to make gain. But if government should amass land, build low-cost houses, and open it for people to take and for people to buy, pay mortgages, I think it will be better. So government needs to look at this particular one in Nasarawa State and look at how to create more of them, for example, here in Abuja and other states.
Yes, I think not just in Nasarawa State, like you rightly mentioned. If you take a look at the Renew Hope Housing that was
Okay.
launched by this administration, in continuation of what, because he promised the present president, His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, promised to continue to build on what his predecessor started in the area of housing. So he introduced Renew Hope Housing. At the launch of that Renew Hope Housing, I was there. A one room in that going for a price of about 22 point something million.
Are you serious?
A room, yes. If you can go, if you live here now, just go to the site of Buy House in Renew Hope Housing in Nigeria. I can't remember the exact website now, but we'll do the search together. You go to that portal and see the cheapest among the Renew Hope Housing categories, which is the low cost that you talked about. In Kasana, for example, which is the place I know, I visited when it was launched. It was going for as much, and that was before the inflation that cascaded the price of cement from about, before it was 7,000, not to talk of when it now became 13,000 or wherever the price is now. I heard the Minister of Housing talking about variation of contracts because of continuous increase in cost of building materials, because you can't strike a deal with an estate or with a developer and you expect the price to remain after inflation and all of that. So if before the inflation in cost of cement, it was going for about 22 point something million, how many civil servants can afford a one room? Because if you judge by the increase in cement, it would have gone more like twice as that price now. And that is for one room, a room and parlor in Kasana, in one of the Renew Hope housing estate that was being built in Abuja here. So that's the cheapest category of. So could it be that cost of affordability could be responsible for this rot away that is happening in Nasarawa?
I don't really think so. I just think it's one of those, let's say, let me choose my words carelessly. Carefully.
Absolutely.
I believe it is one of those omissions on the part of government in doing what they are supposed to do. Certainly, if you are talking about the National Housing Program, I believe it is being pursued by the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria.
Absolutely.
And they have the responsibility to ensure that this whole program is executed well. I will not know what the challenges are, but I believe that there are challenges that are surmountable. If you see, the truth of the whole matter is that when government is doing housing, government do not look for gain. Government is not looking for money. Government is doing it to assuage the issues of housing for its citizens. These are basic things. These are ordinary things. They are not a big deal. If you go outside this country, these are not things that should even give political points. Why will the citizens of your country be looking for housing? So I believe that government is in a proper position. If government today wants to do low-cost housing, bring in the political will. A government that comes in with a political will and says, we want to do mass housing for our citizens. Civil servants to afford it, and the rest, it will be affordable, my brother. Even all these things, 22 million, the cost of cement and all that. Like I said earlier, government involvement in housing is not about making money. And it should not be. The interest of government should be to put a roof over the head of its people. And that should be the most important thing for government.
Okay. Is there any other story you would like to react to?
I saw a headline there that talks about government removing some social media posts.
Yes, he said FG closes 13.5 million social media accounts, removes 58.9 million offensive content. I was going to come to that because another paper captured it in a bold headline, but you can react to that.
Well, it's the code of practice 2024 for use of social media. If you read the body, it says that there was a report that was issued by a combined effort of NCC, NITDA, and NBC, raising concerns about most of these posts, most of these accounts, most of this content on social media. The social media needs serious regulation. It has become a very toxic space because a lot of people are putting out a lot of content on social media without proper regulation. Some of these so-called content creators I saw a content creator, for example, whose name I will withhold, making content that seems to malign or mock people with physical disabilities. How do you do such a content in the name of comedy or in the name of trying to create content? There are content creators who have even brought in nudity into social media content creating.
Absolutely.
The emphasis on nudity, on the woman, on the body of women,
the dignity of
dignity of the woman has become so much, and you expose the social media to our younger ones, and there is so much craze on social media. So it is good that government is through these agencies are working towards ensuring that there is sanity within the social media space. However, I just also hope that this is not tilted or being abused towards bringing down the voices of those people
opposition.
Who are
opposition voices.
Yes, or even bridging the right to freedom of expression, which is enshrined in our constitution, because we know that here in Nigeria, it has become some sort of tradition that governments will try to bring down or suppress the voices of opposition, whether they are in the form of political parties or civil society organizations or whatsoever. So it's important that these government agencies take heed that they must know there is a limit, so that they don't end up infringing on people's right to freedom of expression while trying to sanitize the social media.
I think they also try to want to appear to be seen to have been doing something about the recent declaration by the United States of America for Nigerians who wants to apply for their visas to provide a history of 5 years social media account. I also saw the Nigerian government reacting that they will mirror that policy and also replicate the same for US citizens who might be seeking visa to visit Nigeria.
Yes, I think it's really a good policy, because you see on social media you see people expressing their thoughts and expressing their minds on certain issues, and they are not different from their views. If there are views people have expressed on social media that are that seem to lean towards supporting terrorism, if you have such expressions on social media, why will a government allow you to come into their country when they know that you are likely to become a threat to them? So I think it is in the interest of the nation that this sanity should be brought in. However, like I earlier said, care should be taken so that people's freedom,
don't abuse it.
Yes, to freedom of expression is not abused. Then finally, I saw where they talked about CSOs, talking about who the characteristics of the new INEC chairman. The last time I came here, I mentioned the fact that INEC is a serious challenge as far as Nigerian electoral process is concerned. And of course, leadership is very, very important. Whoever will be heading or leading INEC by the time Professor Yakubu is out is very, 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 very important. Whether INEC will have its reputation back, as far as I'm concerned, INEC right now, the people are disenchanted. People believe that INEC is just going to do things as usual. So much dissatisfaction with the way INEC has. If you read through the story, they talked about the conduct of the election in 2023 with IREF, how there was so much gap that needs to be taken care of. The civil societies are talking about a person who is neutral, very true, a person who is apolitical, not somebody who will resign from, who will finish his tenure, and the next thing I hear that is a card-carrying member of a political party. Somebody who is who will not bend to political pressure. And if I must add, please, let me use the opportunity to say President Tinubu should also avoid somebody from the Southwest. He is going to contest in the next 2027 election. From every indication, he should avoid somebody from the Southwest, so that there will be no need to make any sort of permutation or ethnic calculations towards that. It will be very, very good if somebody from another part of the country will be given that responsibility, because what we are seeing is a president who is going to be contesting an election, and he himself is still going to appoint the referee.
I think the process of appointing is what they were trying to talk about in that write-up.
It has been on
But the Constitution still allows the president to appoint the INEC chairman.
Of course, we have been operating this since 1999. We have been seeing the results. The thing has not been giving us what we want. So why do we continue with that kind of process of appointment? I think that is all on Daily Trust.
Okay, so if that is all from Leadership newspaper, let's go to Blueprint newspaper this morning and see what Blueprint has to say. I think he's talking about that story that you have reacted before as their boldest headline, with 58.9 million offensive content. FG shut down over 13 million social media accounts. We have reacted to that. I will continue. And he's also talking about illegal mining, fueling banditry, costs Nigeria $9 billion annually. That is coming from the police. That's for Blueprint.
Well, the police have gotten the information and they have said it. Illegal mining in Nigeria is a serious issue. You know, people have raised concerns. If you look at our laws, starting from the Land Use Act, going into the Petroleum Industry Act, looking at the solid mineral laws, every solid mineral, as far as you have to go into the earth to remove it, belongs to the state. But what we are seeing is a situation where individuals, companies, are actually mining some of these things without even the proper licenses from the relevant agencies of government. And these things are being used to cause a lot of trouble for us in this country. This illegal mining, like I think the headline was saying, there is even linked to the issue of banditry.
Yeah.
It is linked to this.
That illegal mining is fueling banditry.
Of course, why wouldn't it?
And it's costing Nigeria a whooping sum of $9 billion annually.
Of course.
So if that is coming from the police, they must have their facts.
Yes, they must have their facts. So it is high time the police will not only be identifying some of these challenges, they must also think and create a way of dealing with them.
Absolutely.
This illegal mining is a serious issue. How can a country be losing $9 billion? That's about, when I saw it as 13.7 trillion. How why won't some individuals be richer than the state when somebody is illegally mining?
So what is the Minister of Mine and Steels doing?
Well, I wouldn't know, but one would expect that the Ministry of Mines and Steels, the worst they can do, as far as I'm concerned, is to draw the attention to security agencies, because I don't think they have the enforcement capacity on their own.
Yeah, but I think Dele Alake, who is the present minister, he's also a media practitioner. He has a lot of information as to the link between banditry, terrorism, and illegal mining in Nigeria. And I think at some point he was making some proposals as to the proposing some laws that could help tackle this illegal mining. And I think they've been doing a lot about going around the countries, prohibiting, mining in some states and all of that.
But see, there are laws. There are laws.
Okay.
It is enforcement.
It's enforcement.
There are laws. Okay. Like I told you, ordinarily, if nothing, is it not stealing? Let's leave all the long talk of...
yes, and some foreign nationals have also been identified as
they are part of it.
Conniving with locals.
All these things are going on. But interestingly, like the headline is saying, most of these things are done by powerful men in this country. And that is probably where the challenge is. If an ordinary man from those locations should carry his hoe and his digger, for example, and go to those locations and start digging. Will it take up to 10 minutes for him to be arrested? It won't. So government it's still an issue of political will to address most of these issues. If, for example, the minister has the political will by being backed by the president, these things will be nipped in the bud. But as far as there is no political will, my brother, that is why the police chief is talking about powerful men. Because they will try to deal with it, but these people who are behind these things
will not allow you to stop.
Will not allow you to stop.
Okay, let's move to Daily Times this morning. I think Daily Times is very interesting. It's talking about ADC rejecting hike in salaries of political office holders. That might interest you this morning. Says Nigerians need pay rise, not politicians. And there's another one there that is talking about Fulani militias sack occupied 10 plateau communities. This is coming from a group. It's a report by a group, and that cause for worries. And there's another one that says court orders freezing of Taj Bank account linked to former NNPC GMD Kyari. And there's another one, the last one from Daily Times this morning, is talking about frequent amendments to PIA. That's Petroleum Industry Bill.
Act.
Yeah, so Petroleum Industry Act, pardon me for that. Create anxiety, scare oil investors. That is coming from Pengasin. Which of these stories, I think all the stories from Daily Times.
Yes, they are very, very interesting. The one of ADC as an opposition party raising his voice. You see, there are some things that we do or that our leaders do in this country that remains bewildering. They are shocking. They defy common sense. And when you sit down like this to think about them, to analyze them, you just begin to wonder how decision makers make certain decisions. You are in a country where there is so much voice, so much lamentation about the cost of governance. We are saying that the cost of governance is too high. As it is today, the cost of governance is too high. People are crying, people are complaining. Then a government agency that is responsible for fixing the salaries of this
that cannot pay 70,000 minimum wage. Just
okay, a federal government that cannot pay 70,000 naira minimum wage. I didn't even think of that. A federal government that cannot pay above 70,000 minimum wage is now talking of increasing the salaries of political office holders. I read, I think on the social media yesterday, that the National Assembly is talking of creating a salary structure for their support staff, such as their special assistants, who you appointed yourself. See, some of these things I don't just know how to react to them, because they show that people in government are very insensitive. You cannot have a situation where Nigerians are suffering, pleading for government to pay above 70,000 naira minimum wage. The government has said, no, we cannot, we won't. But the government is thinking of increasing the salaries of political office holders. How much will, for example, President Tinubu be given that will be enough for him? How much will Senator Godswill Akpabio, the Senate President, be given that will be enough for him? These are men who have tasted power before they got to the different positions they were. They did not come into government offices as poor men. They are not people who you can say they have no means to take care of themselves, even before they entered government. So people like President Bola Ahmed Tinubu at this time is not thinking of salary or how much he will make. Somebody like that is thinking of how much he will impact his country, how he will make his people better. So if the Mobilization Commission, the Revenue Commission is talking about increasing the salary of President Tinubu, I will expect that somebody like President Tinubu should come out and say, no,
to reject it.
We don't want that. We don't want that.
Or even some, apart from President Tinubu, some of these politicians that are even richer than President himself.
Yes, some of these ministers, the senators,
yes,
they should come out and say, no, we don't want it. We have not been able to give our people up to 70,000 naira or more than 7,000 naira minimum wage. Why are you going to increase our pay? Governors that are busy crying that they cannot pay 70,000 naira minimum wage,
but they want
theirs to be increased. So whosoever is behind this kind of thing, I wonder if he loves this country, because it means that we are not thinking of the people and their welfare at all.
Absolutely.
It doesn't. And there was another one
Yeah, the court orders to freezing of Taj Bank account linked to former NNPC GMD Kyari.
I wish and I hope they actually did it. Well, the headline says court orders.
Yeah.
The law allows it.
Yeah.
The law allows it. The banks have to comply. Probably it's for investigation purposes. Whatsoever it is for them to follow the right part of the law and do things accordingly. So I think the court that must have made that order must have also looked at the facts surrounding it. And if it's for investigation purposes, I believe that it is also a good step in the right direction for the purpose of fighting corruption.
Okay, so what's your take about the frequent amendment to the Petroleum Industry Act that is scaring investors away? This is according to Pengassin.
I don't agree. I don't agree that it will be scaring investors out. The issues that are scaring investors from getting involved in the Nigerian petroleum industry, there are more than issues in the PIA Act. The issues of security, the issues of a judicial system that works. You get me? Not you go to court for a matter and you are sleeping in the court for 5 years plus, just at the high court level. There are serious issues that are much more there are issues that are much more serious than the matters raised in the PIA Act. Look at the PIA. What of the issue of host communities? How much of these host communities' interest? How much of the interest of these host communities are being protected?
Yeah, but how old is the act itself?
That's what
then the
saying.
Frequent amendment. So what happened between the time the act came into existence and the numbers of amendments that we've had? That cause for worry.
Probably they are looking at. Probably there are calls for further amendments.
Okay.
Probably there are
amendment is allowed anyway.
Yes,
even if we have to keep amending.
Amendment is allowed, but you don't just amend without any direction. You see, the problem we have, I keep on saying it is not about all these amendments. Yes, amendments are very, very, very important because laws move with the society. Once the society moves, the law follows it. Or the law moves, the society follows it, whichever way, because the law is made to engineer and control the society, control social behavior and all that. But what I believe is that the PIA as it is today has not even gone through serious implementation. If it is given serious implementation as it is right now, let us do it first and see where it will take us to. Okay. Let us comply with it and see the results before we begin to...
All right, let's move to Vanguard. And Vanguard is recapturing that story that you just reacted to, anger over planned pay rise for political office holders. I know definitely there will be anger. And then these assaults on NYSC members that Soludo has rightly reacted to by sacking the vigilante operatives that were involved in that assault that was carried out in Anambra State. Then there's another story here that talks about the earlier story that I made mention of. You didn't react to that, but this time around I need you to react to it. The lawmaker from Katsina State is saying that their people can no longer live in villages, but Vanguard is, recaptioning it in a way where it will be more, attractive, or rather, disheartening to you. Katsina massacre, death toll rises to 50. I think that is, you can tie that to the alarm raised by the lawmaker that was talking about people can no longer live in the villages in one of the papers I read earlier. Then 2027, Tinubu's re-election, a done deal. That is coming from Tuji Ojo, the Interior Minister. So which of those stories catches your attention more this morning?
First of all, let me start with the issue of the insecurity in Katsina State. It's sad, it's unfortunate that something like that has happened in Katsina State. My heart goes to those people who have lost their friends, their families as a result of this thing. But this issue of insecurity, we have been talking about it, and it seems to me as if there is no solution to it, but there is. I think it is high time government begin to take this issue serious. Who are these people doing these things? Why are they succeeding? Let me also say that it is also high time northern Nigeria also rise to the point of giving itself that position of protecting itself. The stakeholders in northern Nigeria need to begin to ask themselves certain questions. Why have these things continued unabated in the north? Why? These things, this killing has been going on. At first, it started in North Central as if it was a communal clash. They were calling it Fulani communal clash and all that. Now it has spread to places like Katsina, to places like Zamfara, cattle rustling and all that. So, cattle rustling and all that. I think it is high time government and security agencies began to look into these things. These whole arrangements, why are these things succeeding in these places? Are these people Nigerians? If they are not Nigerians, why do Nigerians have to run away from their own fatherland?
Communities.
From their communities. Why do they have to leave?
A group just reported that 10 communities in
Are
Plateau
displaced.
are displaced,
Are displaced.
occupied by militias.
And the day we stop playing politics with these things, the day we begin to look at it as our problem, not an opportunity to score political points, or the day we stop seeing security issues as conduit pipes to make money, we will make progress with addressing these security issues. It's a very sad and unfortunate thing. The Igbo people will say that when a man is carrying his, what they call it, his corpse, you will not know the weight until you are the one carrying it. So these things are happening. A lot of us seem to be removing our eyes from it, but they are serious issues and they are things that should worry even the president and every other person that are stakeholders in Nigerian security. Then you spoke about what was the other headline? The Anambra case
the Anambra
of the
vigilantes. Yes.
This also goes to the issue of security. Why were these people brought into existence? It was security. The security situation in Anambra State started getting out of hand. The governor had to do something. Now he has created a security outfit. That security outfit has now turned into something. See, I keep on saying it. We have a problem in Nigeria with our social orientation. Most people who are working in security agencies are not doing so for the passion of
protecting lives.
And property. It is for the grace that comes with the office, the uniform, the gun they are carrying.
And the joblessness as well.
Yeah, it's not even just about the joblessness. It's not just about that.
Because the recent recruitment, they were asking for a certain number, and we got like more than times 10 of numbers of applicants that applied for the civil defense, immigration, and fire service recruitment that just got concluded. They've not been able to come out with the numbers of figures they are able to screen out of the numbers of millions of Nigerians that actually applied. So I think it has a lot to do with unemployment.
Yes, unemployment is there because it has made
no passion, not that you want to serve.
It has made a lot of people very available. Yeah. But on the other hand, you also see that there is also this craze on the part of Nigerians to wield power.
Absolutely.
You get me? If I am holding a gun, I forget that you are a human being like me.
Yeah, but that brings him to the issue of the vigilante. The allegedly said that the Corpus Lodge, which they invaded Corpus Lodge because they suspected that there was activities of the local ward, Yahoo, going on there. So that raised the question, is it the duty of the vigilante to bust Yahoo suspects?
Exactly.
What is the EFCC's role? What is there's police. I was talking with my colleague just before you came in, that if vigilantes suspect a crime or an activities of criminals or hideout, I think their role is to inform the police or even call the civil defense into the issue. So vigilantes, I don't think they have a law that is backing the setting up of vigilantes in Nigeria. And I don't think they have an enabling law that spells out their roles and responsibility in terms of tackling insecurity. I know about the civil defense. They have to protect public infrastructures here and there and all of that. The police have their clear mandate. What is the mandate? I know Amotekun was a fallout of vigilante, restructured to have a legal backing. But the normal vigilante that we see around, is there a law that is enabling them to carry arms and even go to the extent of assaulting coppers? And some of them were stripped naked.
Like I said earlier, if you go into that matter, if you do a thorough investigation into it, you may be surprised to find out that was an issue of personal vendetta. You may be surprised. You may be surprised to find out that members of those vigilantes went there to get at somebody in that place. You may also be surprised to find out that they are having a loggerhead with somebody inside that Corpus Lodge, and to show their minds and strength, they went into that place. But you see, what saddens me so much is that apart from government taking, Anambra State government taking certain steps, including dismissing them, I was watching Channels TV yesterday, and somebody speaking on behalf of the Vigilante group, who I don't know if he's their leader, said the victim, the girl in particular, and her family, that was what the person said on live TV, that the person and her family are requesting that they don't take this matter to court, that they do not prosecute those.
Yeah, that was what I was going to ask. But is there not going to be prosecution? Is it going to end at dismissal? Shouldn't there be prosecution for that act of?
Of course, there should
assault?
be. Of course, there should be. The man I was talking about, who spoke on behalf of the Vigilante group, was saying that the victims were asking that they should not be prosecuted
they don't want to
because
press
of
charges.
Yes, because of the video that has gone. But the question is, this video is already on social media.
They're already in everywhere.
They're already on social media. They're everywhere. So you are asking that. You see, what we don't understand sometimes is that prosecuting cases is not about us. It's not about how. It's about protecting the sanity of the society.
Absolutely.
That is what prosecution is all about.
Absolutely.
So whether they want it or not, I will employ the Anambra State government to make frantic efforts to charge these men to court, prosecute them appropriately, and let
lessons be learned.
Let lessons be learned, so that other members of this same vigilante will know the extent to which they are to get involved in these cases. You cannot be given the response. I was watching yesterday on a video on social media of a senior police officer who was addressing his juniors. Beautiful police officer. He was addressing them and telling them how their duty is to protect the fundamental rights of human beings as enshrined in the Constitution, and how they should not turn around to begin to breach it. You are arresting somebody for assault. Then when you go to arrest the person, you begin to slap the person. Have you not breached the same law you have come to protect? So I think it's high time that people be used to set very good example, so that these security agencies will be very, very careful with the way they do their things.
Okay, about the interior minister that has turned campaign manager for the president.
Well,
the
minister was appointed by the president. He will speak in his own interest. After all, he will want to become minister again.
Okay, because he thinks he has done well in his ministry. Other ministers have also done well. Is that the basis he's using to tell us that
I wouldn't know the basis upon which he's saying that, but you can see that that is also a statement that will I say insults the sensibilities of Nigerians. A government that the ordinary man on the street is crying about, is uncomfortable with, a government that has made things more difficult than he met it, and you telling
a government that wants to increase the salaries of politicians.
And you announce, he's one of the politicians.
It's a done deal.
So why wouldn't he say it's a done deal?
Okay.
If we are very honest to ourselves, I wouldn't know why he's making such a comment. But let 2027 come. Let's have a free and fair and clean election.
And let Nigerians
decide.
Okay, let's move to Daily Trust. Our last paper this morning. I deliberately reserved it because I have a story here, which is the boldest headline from Daily Trust this morning. Wedding guests killing. Victims' families kick as suspects gets bail. You are a lawyer. That is the boldest headline from Daily Trust this morning. But if you look at below the nameplate of Daily Trust, you'll see the Diaspora Commission talking about 7,000 Nigerians stranded in Libya. And you also see a story there that is talking about 15 farmers killed in fresh Plateau attack. I think you can link that to the story that the group came out to talk about 10 communities being sacked by some militias in Plateau State.
In Katsina State.
No, I think that was in Plateau State. Yes, that was in Plateau State. So in Katsina State,
was
50 people dead.
Okay.
Counting the numbers of death toll in Katsina State.
Yes.
And this is still talking about insecurity. We are talking about Plateau here. We're talking about Katsina here. The last time it was Benue, it was Zamfara. So I think you want to react to some of these stories. And 70,000, below the picture story, it's talking about 70,000 minimum wage can't lift Nigerians out of poverty. That is a U.S. report. You know, so which of the stories is catchy? I think all the stories are very interesting.
Yes,
this
also
morning.
are very daily trust stories. The issue of the
The
bail,
the wedding guest
the
killing.
wedding guest killing.
Yeah, families of victims' families kick as suspects get bail. So what do you say to that as a
It's very,
lawyer?
very sad that they lost their family members on the way to Kwan, local government of Plateau State, for a wedding in the Ku community. But what ordinarily, bail is a constitutional right. However, there are limits to these rights. When killing is involved, I will understand it to be that these people are standing trial for murder, which is a capital offense. And from what I know, it is not as of right. Bail is not as of right for persons standing trial for
murder.
capital offenses such as murder, armed robbery, and the rest. I wouldn't know why the court would have granted bail, because when you apply for bail in court, you give reasons to the court for that bail to be granted. The court evaluates those reasons with evidence, looks at the situation, and decides whether bail can be granted in that situation. There are cases where people have been granted bail on grounds of ill health, especially when the correctional services cannot take care of that particular health challenge, or where the person's health is contagious. These are some very extreme cases where courts will want to grant bail. However, I wouldn't know what the court considered to grant bail in this situation, but it's a decision of the court. If they are not satisfied with it, they have the option.
And he didn't say one of the suspects. That would have given reason for you to talk about those conditions that you just spoke about. But it's referring to suspects.
You know, the Constitution provides that a person who is standing trial is deemed to be innocent until proven otherwise, yeah. Proven guilty. I cannot categorically say why should bail be granted. You get me? Because that will amount to making a statement of conclusion that indeed an offense was committed. Like I earlier said, the court would have considered certain things, but like I also pointed out, there is an option to appeal that decision. If the prosecution is not happy with the bail that was given, the prosecution has the option of appealing that decision so that that bail can be reversed by the Court of Appeal and they will be taken back into custody. So I wouldn't know why the court gave the bail, but of course, I also understand the sentiments. I also read in the papers that the Kaduna State government has decided to wade into the issue, and because the family are actually indigenes of Kaduna State, has had to wade into the issue to find out why this has happened. But I also understand their plight, their pains. They feel that these people will go scot-free, but I don't think that is the case, because when bail is given, sureties are brought to take these persons on bail, and if anything should happen to these persons who are standing trial, the sureties will be required to produce them. So I want to only hope and believe that the court will take the issue of sureties extremely serious. I also don't know the bail conditions. They may be very stringent so that these persons may not be able to abscond. So whatsoever it is, we just hope that the court will do its own part by ensuring that these sureties are reliable persons who can actually account for these defendants if the need should arise.
Okay, I think that's a good place to anchor it this morning, except there's any other story.
I just want to talk about the issue of the blockage of the road. Lokoja Expressway.
Yeah, motorists stranded as drivers block Abuja Lokoja Road. I saw in the news flash this morning that if you are heading towards that direction, you could take Abaji as an alternative route. Kuje as an alternative.
Yes, to bust out of Gwagwalada.
There is no road in Gwagwalada if you go through Giri.
It's unfortunate that people just think they can take the laws into their hands. They just come together, block the road. People cannot access. But it also goes to show you the extent to which there is a loss of confidence in our authorities in addressing these issues. The story says that military officials who were doing a roadblock assaulted one of the trailer drivers, and for that reason, the trailer drivers blocked the way. These things are reoccurring decimals in our highways and express roads. How much has these organizations, these security organizations, such as the military, how much effort have they made to make sure that their personnel do not continue conducting themselves in that manner? If the driver refused to stop at the checkpoint, which the story is alleging, or which an eyewitness, as recorded in the story, is alleging, assaulting the driver, how was it going to be the best way out? So it is advisable that both the military, the police, should make concerted efforts to ensure that their personnel on the expressway and the highways are conducting themselves properly. If you go through Aba Port Harcourt Expressway and you see what security officials are doing on that road, you will weep. Aba Port Harcourt Expressway, it is as if from one pole to another, there are different roadblocks collecting monies from drivers. And these things are going on unabated. So it is high time they begin to, in this case, I believe the military personnel who were at that roadblock may not have intended to collect any money, but there might have been a misunderstanding, because also the story said that the driver was trying to park and in the process he brushed their hillocks. I wouldn't know, but these are the different aspects of the story.
Yes.
But whatsoever it is, I don't think it is appropriate for anybody for a military personnel to assault a civilian, and it is also inappropriate for them to block the road, stopping commuters from having access to that road. Is public.
Yeah, I think
facility.
that brings us to the issue of tackling insecurity, because in the first place, the military have no business being in the road as roadblock checkpoints if there is no war in the country. They are meant to be in the barracks. So I think if the government can do a lot to tackle the insecurity that is all over the papers this morning. We might not have time to talk about the 15 farmers killed in fresh attack in Plateau State. Of course, gunmen killed 4 family members in Beniguari. That's also in the paper this morning. And we've talked about the 50 people that is the death toll in Katsina
State.
So so these are the issues. So if insecurity is tackled, I think these roadblocks, putting militaries in the road, will also be addressed.
But the part of tackling it is these military officers on the road. My brother, if these military officers are not on the highway,
there'll be
it would have been worse than it is.
That is the worst case that we have gotten to now.
They are indeed trying. The military officers are trying.
Yeah, but
they should also conduct themselves in a
professional manner.
Yes, in a professional manner, so that they don't have these issues coming up. They are too good to be experiencing this kind of things.
All right, and that's a good place to anchor it this morning. Barrister Isi Guzo, Ogochukwu Prince Isi Guzo. Let me call your name in full. Let me accord you that respect this morning.
Thank you very much.
It's always a wonderful time to have you on our newspaper review on Third Eye Africa TV. And that is where we are going to anchor it this morning on Third Eye Africa TV. Remember, security is everybody's business, and we are in the business of helping able security agencies that we have in the country to prevent crime, of course, investigate and provide safety for our communities in Nigeria. And keep watching our station, Third Eye Africa TV, which is the #1 station in terms of security in Nigeria. And this is where we are going to anchor it this morning. I remain your able newspaper host and analyst sometimes, Charles Agedu. But today I had my able guest in the house to analyze with me. So join us again same time on this station, and keep watching Third Eye Africa TV.